Hi guys and welcome back to another Starcraft Remastered replay cast, as once again we have a very interesting engagement, this time from the South Korean ladder. So very interesting game here in between the two pro players from South Korea. Let me just start by introducing them to you. As you have spawning here in the lower left in the blue, it is Jet Minho, and his opponent here spawning in the lower right in the purple, it is Eagle. So yeah, once again we do have a Zerg versus Protoss on a 4 spawning location map. As like in the previous replays, we are going to be checking the build orders very soon from the two pros. So very recent replay, I believe this has been played around the year 2023, 2024. I don't think it has been played on a tournament, it's pretty much a ladder game in between the pros. You can see it from the APM very high. And yeah, like I told you, very soon the build orders will start commencing, as we have a pylon in a very interesting placement here for the Protoss. Usually you place the pylon here, but I believe the Protoss going to try to give more security here towards his fast expansion. It could be a fast expansion build order, as he is very likely going to be saving for that. And interestingly enough, he just moved out here onto the map, scouting it a little bit, but then decided to change direction. So now adding should be a forge. So we have a very defensive gameplay here for the Protoss. He's very likely going to be adding a cannon here, and he's very likely going to be closing the gap here with a gateway and perhaps even another pylon. So it looks like a fast expansion build order here for the Protoss. Let's check the Zerg. Very fast spawning pool for him, so no intentions for him into going into a fast expansion, a more aggressive gameplay here for the Zerg, as he's also scouting here the map with his overlords. Now the probe and the drone are getting some damage. Actually only the probe is getting here the damage. And he sees of course that it's not a fast expansion build order, it's straight spawning pool first, so this could be a little bit of trouble here for the Protoss, as now finally the Zerg takes his expansion. Or at least, you know, the probe is actually nicely blocking here this attempt, so very nice move by Eagle versus his opponent. But yeah, he takes more and more damage, and very soon the probe is very likely going to be microbat, or at least, you know, he's actually being more and more annoying here. Very nice stuff by Eagle. And now finally the Zerg is able to start his expansion, as the first Zerg is now moving out. Let's just see the first cannon actually getting placed here already, and even a second cannon. So I believe the Protoss must saw that it's going to be an early all-in by the Zerg. And let's see, the two cannons can of course one-shot a Zergling, so the block off is a very nice. So let's see if the Zerg is going to commit here. There's no, it's going to micro those units back. And now the Protoss on the move out once again. So like I told you, very nice gameplay here for the Protoss, preparing a macro oriented game. As you can see from the timer, it's a 25-minute game. A very interesting one here in between the two pros, as gas has also finished here for the Zerg, and it looks like he's going for a very early second expansion for him. So all of a sudden he has also started to change his option, as the Protoss knows of course the build order from the Zerg, and he's of course going to check the expansion point for him. I believe he saw the hatchery, as he's microing now the probe out of danger. So yeah, macro game versus macro game it is going to be here, as gas is also getting mined. We see the cybernetic score here for the Protoss, and we see of course the two cannons giving good protection here towards the expansion point from the Protoss. Actually the Protoss, I don't think he saw the expansion, but now I'm pretty sure he's going to make it here forward with his probe and sees now the hatchery, so he knows exactly the build order from the Zerg. It could be a timing push by the Zerg, but it's more likely a more safe gameplay here for him, as he's making more units here and even going for the tier 2. Let's check the timing for the tier 2, it's halfway done, so very good timing here of course for him. He might transition into some Mutalisk, could be also lurkers for the Zerg, so let's see what his intentions are here versus the Protoss, as the Protoss has now 21 workers versus the 18, and we even see yet another gateway here. No, it's actually a starport, so of course starport much needed for those Corsairs into early harassing the overlords from the Zerg. Yeah, Corsairs versus Zerg, always a good option into getting air dominance, and not only that but also into sniping more overlords and keeping the Zerg supply block. So interesting position here being found for this Zealot just in order to inflict more damage. We actually do have an interesting move out here by the Zerg. He might get some good surrounds, losing now some Zerglings, but at the same time sniping the Zealots. Speed has been done for the Zerglings, they should be able to clear this, but at the same time they do lose some Zerglings here, as yeah, the wall of is pretty much completed. It would be very hard here for the Zerglings to move forward into this gap, the first gap and the second gap here. A very nice sim city for the Protoss, as he's now going into his first Corsairs. And yeah, we even have the Templar Archive, so we might see some Psionic Storm, we might see some Dark Templars here for the Protoss, as slowly but steadily we are closing in towards the 10-minute mark. This is a nice macro hedge for the Zerg, as he's also taking this one, and he might even consider taking the other expansion here at the upper left part. And yeah, the Protoss just scouting a little bit here, and in comes the first Corsair. Be able to get a nice kill here. There are no spores, there are no Hydros yet here for the Zerg. Notice that he's actually going for Scourges, but in the meantime the Zerg is pretty much going to commit here, I believe. Or you see there's only one Zealot guarding this, but like I told you, the Sim City here very nicely being done by the Protoss. He might even try to add another pylon here, just to make it more harder for those speed Zerglings to move forward. And yes, indeed, the Zerg has taken his upper left part, so very nice position here for this expansion. In comes the Corsair though, so those overalls are pretty much exposed. 2 Corsairs already, and a very nice strategy here for the Zerg, gaining more air dominance. But in come the Scourges, they might get a connection, almost sniping one Corsair. A nice micro here, and he even micros one back, but he might get intercepted here for the Scourges. So very good movement here by both players, actually playing very nice here. And the Corsairs will have to of course go back into the cannons from the expansion point. So yeah, already 3 Corsairs here out for the Protoss. He might move out to snipe more Overlords. This should be a Spore, no, it's actually a Sunken. But yeah, the Protoss still has no idea about his expansion right here, so his Corsairs should move out early. But we actually have a Dark Templar moving here. However, the doors are pretty much shut. There is an Overlord, there is a Sunken in the back, and the Dark Templar taking quite some damage. So yeah, he should be microed back immediately. And yeah, all of a sudden we have a very defensive gameplay here for the Protoss, as it would be very hard for those Corsairs to move out against the Scourges. But not that many Scourges here out for the Zerg, so the Corsairs should be fine. They deal of course splash damage towards all of those Scourges, and there's already a high number of Corsairs, 5 of them, so they can be very deadly into dealing damage. However, the map awareness here is much stronger for the Zerg. His macro game looking much better. I believe he could even take the other expansion, and yeah, more Corsairs are joining here the fight, and I believe they could be able to snipe this down and then go for hunting for those Overlords, as the Protoss is still trying to inflict some damage. We see Psionic Storm getting researched, we see many researchers here, even for the Hydras, as more Scourges are getting added for the Zerg. And yeah, interestingly enough, the Corsairs are not engaging. I believe he could be successful into snapping those Scourges. And again, I'm sure he knows exactly what he is doing. Actually, one Scourge getting a good connection here versus the Corsairs. More are coming. Actually, many Scourges here for the Zerg, and it looks like the Zerg is pretty much going to commit here forward with his Zerglings, with his Scourges in the air. The Zealots have to engage here, but some Zerglings might be able to move here forward. A very nice micro here by both players, especially by the Protoss, just flying over the air and nicely evading those Scourges on the ground. Scourges in the air, so sorry about this one. Yeah, very nice micro here by the Protoss, as now he believes could be able to move forward, could be able to snipe some Scourges. Finally, a good move here by him. The Corsairs are actually very strong versus those Scourges, but let's just see if they will engage. No, actually they don't take some damage here, so very nice move by the Protoss. And now he could have the air dominance, but there is a Spore here, searching of course for those Overlords in the air. Speed has been done, and it looks like the Protoss is pretty much going to commit here forward, trying of course to inflict as much damage as possible, and even the Zealots are now moving forward, so pretty much an all-in. But there's so many Hydras. However, Psionic Storm has been finished, and of course Psionic Storm very strong versus all of those Hydras. They are clumped up together, so yeah, very nice move here for the Protoss. And now he's just retreating back home, after sniping some overlords, and at the same time it's also bought some time to do some expansions here. But yeah, we've already passed the 10-minute mark, and the Zerg might take his expansion here as well, so pretty good game so far. But I believe the Zerg has a smaller advantage here. He has done a nice job into defending those overlords, even as speed has been done. All of those hydros are also out here for him, and he might get a good surround against all of those units. But Protoss needs to be careful because there's so many hydros on the ground. Let's check if some upgrades have been done. Speed has been done, of course, but other than that, no upgrades. Only one weapons here for the Protoss, as the Corsairs are still patrolling the air, just trying to snipe more and more of those overlords. And yeah, let's see if the Zerg is going to commit here forward. The high ground is of course in control for the Protoss. And yeah, the Zerg looks like he's going to regroup his units straight here forward. But there's so many High Templars, however they're a little bit exposed. Might try to go for some lurkers, or is he going to commit here forward with so many high risk? Great storm here by the Protoss. Another storm can be casted very soon, as now the High Templars are being targeted. And finally some units have fallen here, but also 2 High Templars have been sniped. At the same time we do have an engagement here in the middle of the map. Good sniping once again. And so many high risk have been lost here for the Zerg, as he's losing more and more of his units, getting nicely surrounded here by the Zealots. So yeah, in the meantime the Corsairs are still patrolling the map, still trying to kill of course as many units as possible. And finally we do see a transition into lurkers, so no Mutalisk here for the Protoss, straight headless into lurkers for him. Let's see if he's going to be successful into sniping some buildings here, as the Protoss pretty much on hold position waiting an attack. However, he knows he has the high ground. There's so many cannons here for him, and he should be able to hold this, as even some Dragoons are now joining the army. So very interesting miss, as now the Zealots will get some great surrounds, blocking those high risk and pushing the Zerg back. The Zerg needs of course his reinforcements, he needs those lurkers very quick, as the Zealots will try once again to get a good surround. But they need to be careful, as so much Zerg is now moving forward. Once again the Zerg is moving here forward, but there's some Dragoons on the high ground. There's some Zealots here as well to defend, and at the same time some units have been taken out here. So very good micro by both units, and the Protoss pretty much has secured now his second expansion. This ramp actually working against the Zerg, so he just leaves one lurker behind. At the same time Corsairs are still roaming the map, still trying to of course to snipe as many units as possible, as many overlords as possible. So yeah, very interesting game indeed. We have mass hydras for the Zerg with some lurkers versus the Psionic Storm versus the Zealots, and Dragoons here for the Protoss. And let's not forget those Corsairs as well, as it looks like this is going to be the main strategy for the Protoss: mass Zealots, Dragoons and High Templars. And it looks like he's going to try to commit here forward, but there is a nice sim city here for the Zerg, as he's nicely blocked his entrance with the Sunkens in the back. But yeah, still a huge army here for the Protoss as he's moving forward. Once again, let's check the upgrades. Still 0 to 1, as he will very likely try to attack the lurkers. So nicely spread it here, but there's just 2 of them, as Psionic Storm will deal of course once again so much damage. So looks like the Protoss is pretty much going to commit here. One lurker already taking quite some damage. Is there an observer? There is indeed, and we actually have some Mutalisk here, but so many Dragoons on the ground, so the Dragoons of course very great against those Mutalisk in the air, and the High Templars also getting some good connections versus the units. I believe the Mutalisk are there to snipe the High Templars, and yeah, reinforcements are pouring here forward for the Zerg, so the Protoss just need to be careful not to get surrounded by so many units. So the attack was clear just to allow the Protoss to once again expand, and yeah, the High Templars will of course scare off those Zerg units away, as the Corsairs are still patrolling the air, still trying to kill as many units as possible. And here it is, the Mutalisk actually sniping the High Templars. Very nice move here by the Zerg, sniping one High Templar after the other, and pretty much sacrificing those Mutalisk, but it was much worth it for him, as so many High Templars have been sniped. And with that, the Zerg once again will transition into the Zerglings with Hydras, as a huge wave of Zerg is coming here forward, and he might get some great connections with those Speedlings. So nice job here by the Zerg, as he's getting so many units here surrounded. Even the Zerg is getting surrounded, and he's pretty much going to commit here forward, as there are no more High Templars here. So the Zerg knows this of course, as he's pushing more and more forward. The Protoss will very likely try to deal more and more damage. The reinforcements are pulling forward. The Dragoons in the back aren't getting touched, only the Zealots in the front. A nice job all of a sudden here by the Protoss as he's able to push back the Zerg. And yet the Zerg really needs some lurkers as for the splash damage versus the ground units, so he's very likely going to transition into some lurkers very soon, or is it going to be remaining mass hydras for him as the probes are getting transferred here. And let's just see what the Protoss can do here. So many hydras, and not that many high tempers here for the Protoss, only a couple of them in the back, but not that much energy for them either. So let's see who's going to be the victor here, as it will be very, very hard to move forward. But a great storm now for the Protoss versus all of those units. So the storms once again showing their strength into the splash damage, and we have actually the Zerg once again trying to surround the units from the Protoss, trying to get a good position for all of those high risk as the Protoss takes more and more damage. So it's a nice back and forward game here, still in one's game. However, the slow moving high templars pretty much getting sacrificed here, and sadly here for the Protoss is not paying attention. 3 high templars have been lost, only 1 is remaining, and this could be a great advantage here for the Zerg. This is just going to be able to snipe one Zerg after the other. The Hydras aren't getting microed here, and so many of them have fallen. So yeah, the Protoss just shows us a strength of 1 High Templar Storm. It's pretty much creating a soup of High Templars. So yeah, soup of Hydras here. And yeah, nice stuff here by both players. Sadly for the Zerg, he didn't micro those units out of danger, and yet the High Templars pretty much punishing him with massive amounts of splash damage. However, the economy for the Zerg looking really strong, and all of those hatcheries just massively producing units. Still, the Corsairs are getting some good connections, with more and more units, and even the drones have been mismicroed here by the Zerg. However, now finally a good push by the Zerg, as those fast speeding Zerglings will be able to take down this other expansion attempt here for the Protoss. So yeah, finally a good move by him. He is behind in supply, and he has so much gas, but yeah, let's just see. I believe he just needs more and more of those lurkers, either that or just go into massive mutalisk just to harass the newly established bases. However, the Protoss, thinking about that, he has so many cannons, as once again the Protoss is moving out to do an attack versus the Zerg. Let's just see if he's going to be successful. The Zealots are in the front. One great storm once again, as the units from the Zerg are actually coming in from the back. So great surround here for the Zerg. It's going to be a good position for him. The Protoss is pretty much going to be surrounded, as he's going to try to find a better position into moving back, into allowing those high tempers to cast those great storms versus the units. And get more and more of the Zerg units, sadly here for him, are getting sniped. And at the same time the Protoss takes here the middle of the map, so very cheeky move by him. I believe he's was being able to protect this much better with his units, with his reinforcements that are moving forward. And let's just see, he's going to try now to attack the newly established bases for the Zerg. Even the Summons are getting interesting sniped here to create wave for the units, and the lurkers are nicely getting spawned here for the Zerg. So many lurkers. I believe he should be able to hold this, as the ramp is very small here, and yeah, the Protoss might take so much splash damage, but all of that attack of course will allow the Protoss to expand. And yeah, slowly but steadily it's the same amount of bases, so 4 bases versus 4 bases. Yeah, very good stuff here by the Protoss, as he is slowly but steadily gaining more and more of an advantage here into this game, and he's just nicely roaming around. Not that many lurkers here to defend, so this could be a great attacking position by the Protoss, as he needs perhaps some reinforcements very soon. Let's check the upgrades once again very quickly. 2 upgrades, 2 weapons, and let's just check the Zerg. 1 to 2 already here for him, so nice upgrades here for the Zerg, as the Protoss is now moving forward. The Scourges, interesting enough, in the front. No Corsairs here for them to snipe, so a little bit of a... Oh, he actually snapped the observers. A very nice move here by the Zerg. Now I understand. Just pretty much try to snipe those observers, not giving an option here for the Protoss to see all of those lurkers. So very good move by the Zerg. At the same time we see an army move out here by the Zerg straight into the middle of the map. Cannons however have been finished, so many cannons here for him. I don't think he's going to be able to commit here. The lurkers are finally getting bored. And yeah, great storm once again, as more and more damage is being taken here by the Protoss, and he's getting pretty much surrounded here by the Zerg from all of the sides, as the reinforcements also pulling here forward for the Protoss. But there's so many lurkers on the ground here for the Zerg. And let's just see for how long the Protoss can hold this. He's pretty much under siege here in the middle of the map. The reinforcements are pulling here forward for the Zerg, and yeah, let's see how long he's able to hold, as so many Zergs are now pulling forward. More and more storms are getting nicely casted here by him. It's still a large amount of Zerg is pretty much alive. However, now a great storm, nice defensive storm. Still the Zerg has some Zerglings on the ground, some Hydras, and yet this base, however, seems to be cleared very soon by the Zerg as more and more damage is being taken. However, now a nice transition into Archons and Reavers for the Zerg, and the splash damage can be very strong. However, he needs to be careful, his base taking more damage. I believe the Zerg will commit here, and yes indeed, he's going to be able to snipe the base. Not only that, but he sniped the Archon and even the Reaver. Now all of a sudden the Zerg might be in an advantage here as he's moving more and more forward, sniping building after building and unit after unit. So nice job here for the Zerg, as those upgrades seems to be kicking nicely in, and we have passed the 20-minute mark. So yeah, still anyone's game, but perhaps right now the advantage for the Zerg, as he has been able to snipe this important expansion here for the Protoss. So yeah, so a nice back and forward game. I believe the Zerg might try to take this expansion. However, there are some Corsairs patrolling here the area. Let's just check the upgrades once again very soon by the Protoss. 3 weapons upgrade. I believe now he's going to transition into some armor or shield. Actually, I believe armor is going to be here for him. It's still the middle of the map. It's not allowed here for the Protoss to expand. So many Hydras here. However, now a good transition into those Dragoons. And yeah, I believe now the Protoss pretty much is going to leave those units here just to secure the expansion. Very important expansion in the middle of the map, with so many mineral patches here for him. But yeah, it's also very fragile position, as he might get surrounded once again by all of the Zerg units, and indeed this is exactly what is going to happen. The Zerglings are in the front, the Hydras in the back, and once again the expansion has been cancelled as the Protoss is getting chased away here for the Zerg. So the Zerg all of a sudden getting a good map awareness, good map control, as he's moving more and more units here forward. And yeah, we do have finally some high temperatures, but he needs to be careful not to lose the important units. I believe he's going to try to cast a storm very soon. A great storm here, great connection, second storm here as well. And once again, all of the Zerg units seems to be disappearing as soon as the high temperatures are moving forward. So yeah, the Zealots actually give tankiness with the Dragoons, and the high temperatures are of course the strong damage dealers. So what can we expect here for the Zerg? I believe he might try to... Yes, indeed, we have a transition into a Defiler, but still, even into the Dark Storm, they take damage out of the High Templar Storm. So yeah, perhaps Ultralisk would have been an interesting idea. Perhaps Mass Mutalisk would have also been very nice into harassing the extensions from the Protoss. And yeah, now the Protoss is pretty much looking like he's going to commit here forward. Is it going to be enough, or is he getting once again surrounded? Not that many defenses here being left for the Zerg, as now in comes the Protoss, having a good position here onto the ramp, nicely clumped up together group of Protoss units. Even a great storm being casted against so many Zerglings on the ground. So yeah, so many Zerglings have fallen here, as the Protoss looks like he's pretty much going to commit here forward. The Orcons also give great tankiness, and there is a counter-attack attempt here with those Zerglings with the Dark Storm. But I believe the Protoss can pretty much abandon the base there as he's moving forward, sniping the hatcheries. The hatcheries are of course much more important, and now the Nexus will of course be sniped, or is it going to be sniped, as the Zealots are now moving forward. And you know, they're being able to hold this, and with that all of a sudden the Protoss now has the advantage. He has sniped the hatchery, the producing hatchery in the lair. No, actually the hive might get snapped very soon, and some storms could be casted here against the drones on the ground. So all of a sudden the main base from the Zerg pretty much getting obliterated here, as very soon the hive and the important buildings here for me will be sniped. Remember, there's 3 weapons upgrade, so much damage is being taken here by the Zerg, and all of a sudden he has dropped to 2 bases. And I believe with that the Protoss might have done it here. Eagle might have done it here into beating Minho. Let's see, there is a counter attempt here by Minho. Is trying of course to snipe the newly established base for the Protoss. He's checking the middle of the base of the map, and actually he knows of course this is the newly established base. This is the one which he has to attack, so he's moving forward with his lurkers there. Sadly for him, no Defiler, and to try of course to deal as much damage as possible. But yeah, the Protoss also reacting very nicely, moving forward. And now all of a sudden the Zerg is getting forced to move back as the Protoss looks like he's pretty much going to commit here forward. Only 12 workers here for the Zerg, as there's so much scattering here forward. Yeah, this Alpine is very likely having many kills, 6 of them and 11 into this one, and finally we do have the GG. So the Protoss nicely doing this, winning this game. A very interesting back and forward game. At one point I was thinking that the Zerg might have had the advantage here after sniping an important expansion here for the Protoss, but yeah, those upgrades for him nicely kicking. No armor yet for him, only 3 weapons upgrade. Let's just check the Zealot. I believe he has left the game. He had 1 and 2 upgrades, so also good upgrades here for the Zerg. But yeah, at one point he had some great surroundings happening against the army from the Protoss. But in the end, the Protoss just proving way too strong, especially those High Templars. I believe the winning move, of course, were the High Templars. At one point the Zerg nicely sniped them with those Mutalisk, but in the end the Storms were pretty much devastating here towards the Zerglings and towards the Hydras from the Zerg. So it's pretty much impossible to outmicro this. Has so much area of splash damage being done by those units, and yeah, what could have been done here better by the Protoss? Perhaps some more Defiler gameplay, perhaps some Mutalisk, even some Ultralisk could have been interesting, but yeah, in the end, like I told you, the Protoss proving to be a little bit too strong now for his opponent. Let's just check the upgrades the statistics very quick, because I'm going to be clicking left and right once again. Very high APM. I did search for those AKs from those players, but sadly I didn't find them. So yeah, very good game here in between the two pros. And yeah, like I told you, a ladder game this time, not a tournament game. I will change this, not adding the name tournament now, just comparing and the ladder with the tournament from now on. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. This is Tommy signing out.